slows down, and action.
Okay, if you're here right now, we're getting everything ready for our live stream, which will officially start at 1, which is just in a few minutes. But you can listen to us and see us in the background and see all the behind the scenes stuff that that we have to do so that we get really good results for you. So Kaegan, everything
am I allowed to speak? I wasn't sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, we're just
quiet. I could do some miming, perhaps.
Yeah, we're just trying to reward the people who showed up early by showing them things that are special that won't be part of the actual official broadcast.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, this will not be in the broadcast, the last of my coffee. So I'll finish that up now.
Wait a second. Did you say that it's coffee? Because our series is called Tea at Taxevity. So I guess our pre-screening wasn't done properly.
I'm so sorry. So the way it works for me, we're PST. It's currently 10 in the morning. I'm a coffee guy until noon. I'm a tea guy in the afternoon. So
okay.
I do like my teas. I enjoy anything that sort of like straddles the line between mint tea and green tea. I'm a big fan of.
Okay, okay. I tend to like English breakfast tea and orange pekoe.
Those are good. Those you have to add like a little milk and a little sugar to usually, right? I'm more on that.
Yeah, well, I don't have it with milk or sugar.
Wow, so, okay. All the guys in the office put tons of milk in it. I don't do that.
Sorry, I misspoke. I don't put any milk, but I'll put a bit of sugar in there. Because you're right that it's a little harsh without anything added to it.
Yeah, that's what's nice about the herbal teas. You can drink those just on their own. So chamomile before bed, that's another habit I've gotten into. So yeah, don't worry, I can speak the language of tea as well.
Okay, good.
I hope not breaking the rules entirely here.
Yeah, so we're not changing the topic, so we will not be talking about tea as the focus of the interview, but it's good that you are versed in that that area too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have to remember what we're talking about. Something about video, I think, right?
Something about video. I mean, we are doing video right now, so it's fitting.
All right, don't tell me we're live.
No, they've been watching all this time.
Okay, so we're talking about how to do video marketing right. Okay, good. So we're getting close to 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and in your time zone, that would be 10. We tried to pick a time because we wanted to do more live streams, because normally we do our interviews and they're pre-recorded, so it can be any time. But we wanted to have the ability to do live streams, and so we picked this time so that people in the West Coast could participate and not have to
wake up,
get up early.
Yeah, this is 10 o'clock is when I do my my weekly webinars for Lumen 5. Actually, same thing. It's even early enough that somebody in Europe could come in kind of at the end of their day, right? Maybe it's 6 o'clock in Europe, so it kind of covers the widest array of people. It's a sweet,
perfect.
10 a.m. sweet spot.
Okay, so we chose a good time.
Yep.
And now it is 1 p.m. in Toronto, which is where we're doing our interview from. So that means that we can get started. So Kaegan, you're set then?
I'm good to go. Let's do this.
Okay, and Jeevan, we're all set? Everything's working?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we like to hear.
Okay, so now I'll do the official introduction. How do you do video interview? Oh, let's see.
Take 2.
That's the sort of thing that you want to do in advance. And this is when I know what we're talking about.
We're live.
Yeah, so audience, this is live. This is what happens. And that's why we pre-record generally. So how do you do video marketing right? That's the topic of today's live stream. This is Tea at Taxevity. I am Pramod Sharma, the actuary at Taxevity Insurance, where we transfer financial risks with life and health insurance. We have a special guest today. Who are you and what do you do when you're not being interviewed?
Good question. Well, we talked about tea, but there's more to it than that. So my name is Kaegan. I'm head of growth and community here at Lumen 5. Lumen 5 is a tool that allows marketers, or really anybody, to take a blog post or an article and to turn that into a video. The problem space that we sort of operate in is more and more you need to be on Facebook, you need to be on Twitter, you need to be on Instagram, you need to be on YouTube like we are right now. And there's just so many platforms and you have to be multimodal. It's hard. What we let you do is take a piece of content that you already have and turn that into a video, and then suddenly you're covering, you know, it's 2 birds, 1 stone kind of a thing. So that's what we do. When I'm not at work, I've been trying to go to the gym. I'm keeping up my New Year's resolution really well. I've been to the gym every day since Christmas, so pat on the back for me.
Yay!
Yeah, we'll see how it keeps up, right? It's not quite a trend yet. And I also enjoy cooking, and sometimes those two things are at odds with one another, unfortunately.
Yeah, one may motivate you to do the other, I would gather.
Absolutely. It's like, if I want to eat this big bowl of pasta, I got to go to the gym, right? So yeah.
Right.
And I should mention, we're also in Canada. We're in Vancouver, BC. So we're a proud Canadian startup, proud Canadian tech company. It's always exciting when, there's the Facebooks of the world. We want to be a Canadian Facebook one day. So.
Yes, because we've been doing a lot of video here at Taxevity. We've got I think we're close to 200 videos now, over 100 interviews. And we started 2013, 2014. So we've been at it a while. And we wanted the ability to make videos more easily, because the ones that we do are a lot of work. And in exploring different ways to make social videos that can be good for YouTube, where it's landscape, and they can be square for LinkedIn and vertical for for other platforms that we don't use. We were trying to find a convenient way to do that, and that's how we discovered Lumen 5. But to get started, let's talk about trends in video, because I find some of them seem misleading, in the sense they'll say that companies like Cisco will say how much bandwidth will be used by video, which seems a little misleading, because of course
it's going to be a big number. I use that. Yes. It's 80%. I throw that around too.
Yeah, so that, I don't know that tells people anything, but like from a real user point of view, like what are the trends in video viewership?
Well, I think up until this point, brands and people have been really good about making evergreen content, right? So you make a piece of content, and that content continues to be useful and applicable for a long time. Now what's happening is there's a demand for like ephemeral or almost like temporary or short-lived video, where you're making a video about something that matters right now, but it might not matter in 3 days. And that's where something like Lumen 5 comes in, because you can make those videos really quickly, right? You don't want to spend hours and hours and hours in Final Cut, putting together a really fancy video if no one's going to care about that video in 2 days. So there's that trend. There's a trend towards like that ephemeral kind of video content. Okay. So that's huge.
So disposable video in a sense.
I try not to use that word because it kind of sounds a little negative, but you're absolutely right. Stuff that's not going to matter in a day or two.
It's something that's bothered me, because when we do video, like, it takes time. But now you have to have native video that goes on different platforms, and so you can't measure all the views on your YouTube channel. So it's almost as if that doesn't matter as much, because we'll find that we'll have a video and maybe there aren't a lot of views on YouTube. So if someone goes there, they'll say, oh, no one's watching this. But then we had huge views on LinkedIn, but we can't tell anyone.
That's another trend in video, actually. LinkedIn video is like skyrocketing. It's absolutely taking off. It's weird to me that they didn't have video really until recently. But that's a new channel that marketers are really looking at, is LinkedIn video. BuzzSumo, which is a great company, they put together, so they make a product where you can take a link and you can see how that's been shared across just different social networks. They put out a report where they analyzed millions and millions of posts on Facebook. And what they found is that video posts, on average, get at least 59% more engagement than any other type of post. Which is huge, right? So that's kind of, I think, more and more you're going to see brands and people like yourself really investing in video content and using that as a way to tell stories.
Okay, so people are creating more video, people are watching more video. I guess the two go hand in hand. Are we going to reach a point where everything's video and people are so tired of video, they don't want to see another video, they just want to read something?
I mean, there might be a little bit of that. I mean, it's kind of reminds me of how everybody's doing streaming music, yet for some reason record sales keep picking up. People are buying vinyl more than they ever did. So there might be this sort of like backlash against that. But really, I think there's a place for both. Like there are times of the day where I'd rather watch a video, and there are times of the day where I want to read a book, right? So I think we're going to have a balance. I think we'll find a good balance eventually. But for now, it seems like there's no indication that video is the best storytelling method will slow down.
Mm-hmm. How well do you think video is being used by marketers these days? And here I'm thinking not necessarily of the mega brands that have huge budgets, but maybe like advisors, small businesses, where they have to pay careful attention to their time and also their money.
I think there's a big opportunity there. I really think that a lot of smaller businesses, individual entrepreneurs, those sort of people are not using video as well as they could. Certain industries more than others are really jumping on it. So one example is real estate. I've seen a lot of real estate agents, you know, they work independently. They're really investing in video because they know that that's the best way to show a house, right? And people interested in buying that house. So some people have jumped on it, but other verticals have not.
Okay, so what do you think is holding back the verticals who are not using video yet? Because I think people would generally agree that video is important. It's not something to ignore.
I think the biggest thing is just making sure that you have a story to tell, right? So for the real estate agent, it's, you know, they want to craft this story about like, oh, you could live in this house and this could be your dream house and this is, you know, where you raise your kids. There's this really innate sort of story element, and that translates really well to video. For other industries, they maybe have a tougher time kind of coming up with that narrative, right?
Yeah, I think you're right about that, because with a house, there's something tangible to look at. But if you look at, say, insurance as an example, our vertical, it's not something you can even touch. At the end, you get a paper contract, but those are going digital also. And so it does become harder to tell stories where you're not just using slides filled with words. Visuals are a good tool to help get the message across.
And I think there's tons of stories to be told sort of in the insurance world, right? Like insurance.
Oh, tell us some.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You probably know this better than me, right?
I've got my notepad.
I mean, I hear insurance and I think about like safety. I think about like the importance of family, the importance of, you know, protecting the ones that I love. There's all kinds of like ways you could sort of pull at people's heartstrings. And we know that video, like there's a stat that I throw around, people retain 10% of what they read and 80 to 90% of what they see in a video. You could really get that story across better with video than other methods.
Yeah, so can you just tell us a little bit about the kind of video that people make with Lumen 5?
Yeah, so Lumen 5, you've probably seen a Lumen 5 video on your Facebook feed or on your Twitter feed at some point, almost guaranteed. The type of video we make is you'll have a moving background, either an image with some movement or a video with some movement, and then text over top of that, and that text is what's telling the story. The reason this type of video has become so popular is that 80% of all videos watched on mobile devices are watched with the sound off. So you can absorb a Lumen 5 video without having to listen to it. And that's really key because, you know, people are, you know, watching videos in line at Starbucks or on the bus or in bed at night and they don't want to wake up their partner, right? Like they're taking in that content without sound. And Lumen 5 excels at that kind of video.
Yeah, because I started noticing that with news stories where there'd be the full written article, and sometimes I'd read that, but other times, can I just watch something and have some visuals?
You just like
more interesting.
This information to me, yeah. And the best videos that I see are ones that don't exactly retell the entire news article or the entire blog post. They take the key elements of that and put that in the video. If you just take like a 600-word blog post and put that in a slide format, that's not going to be very engaging. And to that point, like we recommend videos be under a minute, which a lot of people get way carried away with making videos and they get much longer than that. But we find the best results are under a minute. And actually this year, Facebook is recommending videos be 15 seconds.
15?
15 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the number they're telling marketers. They're saying, you know what, we've looked at the data. The best videos are as short as 15 seconds. Go there. It seems wild even to me, but when you start to think about the stories platform taking off, stories are all 15 seconds long. So it's what consumers are kind of getting used to. They're used to these short little blip stories that are, 15 seconds long.
Yeah, it just shows how things are changing so rapidly, and it's important to have different kinds of videos. One of the things that I didn't think was especially useful in Lumen 5, and then in the last week I actually started using it, is you've got like artificial intelligence, where basically you can take a blog post or a link to something that's already on the internet, and then your AI will go in and it'll pick out some sentences and then turn that into a video. And to me, as a purist, because I thought if you're writing for the screen, then you should really be like writing a script that's just for that. but I had an article. It was about insurance essentials for women. And I was lazy and I didn't really want to take the blog post, which hasn't been published yet, and turn it into a video. So I just pasted that into Lumen 5. And it did an amazing job at picking out good sentences.
I wasn't sure where this was going. I was like,
no. If it was bad, I wouldn't be using this story.
Good.
So I'm guessing that things like the AI keep getting better as it gets used more.
Yeah, so that's so there's the AI, and then there's machine learning. That's kind of what you're referring to. Machine learning is where it can take a data set, and we're continuously growing this data set when people use Lumen 5, and using that to train our system. So if we make recommendations about media to use, and you change it to something else, we take that input as like a correction, essentially. This stuff is beyond me. I'm not an engineer, but I kind of understand it. We take that human input as a correction and we use that to train our system so it does better next time.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, because I've noticed, because we've been using Lumen 5 for over a year now. And of course, they're all the continuous improvements, which is great to see. But it does seem to be getting smarter also, which is really good too.
Yeah, so we have engineers, probably about half of them are working on new features. So they're adding new scene styles or new ways of starting a video, etc. And then the other half are just working on training the model that does all the AI and the machine learning, which is crazy. They're just basically taking the additional information we get from people using the product and turning that into better predictions. That's the work they do is incredible to me. It's beyond my level of understanding, but the outcome is really, really cool, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to have people who can figure out those things for those of us who don't know the difference between AI and machine learning.
Exactly. The idea is we want the outcome of all that work to feel like magic, right? That's what we want. So we're not quite there yet, but we're getting close.
Right. So based on the data that you have at Lumen 5, what's the frequency that people seem to post at?
Ooh, very good question. There's what people are doing and there's what people should be doing.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Right, so there's two different things. I would say people are not posting videos as often as they probably should. So I'll sometimes go and we do customer interviews where I'll talk to somebody and they'll say, oh, I'm posting one video a week and that video outperforms anything else I do, but then I've got 8 other text posts alongside that. Harkening back to that BuzzSumo article I was talking about, the spread that they're recommending now, that a lot of experts are recommending, is 70% video, 20% images, and 10% just regular link text posts.
Okay, so you're talking about
that's where
people numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, and the videos could be relatively short, like maybe 15 seconds to 30 seconds or to a minute.
Absolutely, they could just be real short things. They could be Facebook Live as well. It could be any sort of video content, but yeah, the spread should be that 70% mark. That's what you want to aspire to.
Okay, so we may be a little below that ourselves.
Hey, you set goals, right? I got my goal to go to the gym every day this year. Probably won't hit it, but I'm still going to get to a good point, right? Same with this. If you can get to 50% video posts, that's still an amazing achievement.
Okay, so that's interesting. So things have really changed, or I guess the best practices are changing.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we've got our audience also, and so we should give them a chance to ask their questions too. Is there something you wanted to say before Jeevan goes and starts bringing in questions from the audience?
Nothing specifically. I would just love to have questions really about anything to do with marketing. And I'll do my best to answer those sorts of questions.
Okay, that sounds perfect. So, Jeevan, you're at the controls. What's the first question that we can pass on to Kaegan to answer?
Okay, so what's the biggest mistake you've seen people make when trying to market themselves or their business using video or just in general?
If we talk about video specifically, the biggest mistake is that they make videos that are too long. Right, so I kind of alluded to this earlier. The best performing videos are short ones, right? Just imagine yourself on your phone, scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through Instagram. It's so easy to move on to the next piece of content. So easy. You just have one flick and you've moved on. So really, you want to capture people's attention and just sort of respect their time and just know that within a short period of time, they're going to go on to the next thing.
Yeah, one of the things that really bothered me about video is I like the idea of putting everything on YouTube and then just having links to it. But on LinkedIn, as an example, and I'm sure other platforms, the video won't autoplay unless it's native. Yeah. And so that means that you need the video to be on LinkedIn also. Now on YouTube, you need a landscape video typically. And on LinkedIn, it looks like a square video might be better. So now you need to have 2 videos potentially if you want the best results. And without a tool like Lumen 5, it's a real pain to have a video that's both square and landscape and maybe even vertical.
Yeah, I mean, the reason they do that is like if you just post a YouTube link on LinkedIn, there's no opportunity for them to get ad revenue. Whereas if you upload it natively, there's an opportunity for them to inject an advertisement potentially. LinkedIn isn't actually doing that a whole lot right now, but they will be able to. Same with Facebook, though. They definitely will show ads in front of your videos. So that's why they want you to natively post it so they can do that.
Yeah. So we've started doing that, and now we have our audience metrics spread over different platforms, but maybe it doesn't matter how many people are viewing something. Maybe what matters more is that 70-20-10 formula that you were mentioning, or just consistency in posting.
Yeah, and then also engagement, right? So looking at, that's the other thing that's better with video. People are more likely to share it. They're more likely to write comments. They're more likely to do engaging things. And when most social media platforms see engagement, then they'll expand the reach of that post. They'll assume, oh, this is interesting content. We'll show it to more people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, Jeevan, sorry for interrupting. More questions?
Yeah, bring the next question.
Sure. So for someone who's just starting out with video, in terms of thought process, where should someone start? Like, should they start about, with thinking of their mission statement for their company, or, what's a good starting point for approaching video?
I think step one is to really think about the story you want to tell. Do you want to tell a story about your customer? Do you want to tell a story about yourself? Figure that part out. What's the narrative that you want to use, and like the narrative thread that goes through the different content that you make. In terms of the lowest barrier to entry, I'm actually not going to recommend Lumen 5. I'm going to say doing like a selfie video is probably the place to start. Like Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook stories are the perfect place to just hold your phone up and start talking to your customers. I think that's like step one, do that.
Okay, excellent. And do you think it's good to have a mix of different types of videos? For example, say, Lumen 5 video, and maybe also having that style you just recommended, or should people strive to have one consistent form of video format eventually?
I think you want to try and hit as many different points as you can. So you may want to invest in one piece of evergreen content. So something that's very highly produced, you put a lot of thought into it. It looks great. It's telling the main story that you want to tell. And maybe that's something that lives on the landing page of your website, and you expect lots of people to watch it and for that video to be relevant 6 months from now, 12 months from now. You also then want to make the Lumen 5 style of videos that are a little bit more right now, a little more disposable. And then on top of that, you want to do live events like we're doing right now. And potentially like those selfie videos as well might be another thing you can add to the mix. So really you want to be everywhere. You want to be you want to try and touch as many points as you can in sort of a social media landscape.
Yeah, one of the things we're not doing right now are selfie videos. So that's maybe something else for our to-do list for this year.
Yeah, because it's how consumers or people are communicating with one another, right? So if you as a business can kind of talk to them in the same way, you might connect better, right?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think we can have one
fun point there. Yeah. We're running a bunch of ads. So we have traditional ad units. We've got like video ad units, and we've got image ad units on Facebook. The one that's performing the best is actually a 15-second selfie video that I made of me that we're running as an ad.
And we have the star right here with us. How lucky are we?
Yeah. we did it as a test. It was sort of a goofy, like, what'll happen if we do this? And it turns out that connects with people better than any other thing we've tried. Weird.
Interesting.
So something you can definitely try.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that was actually going to be the next question, which is how does something that's highly produced and highly edited compare to something that's more personal like a live stream. But as you said, that appears to be something that resonates with people.
Yeah, I think people are kind of maybe a little bit sick of being marketed to, right? And they might reject something that's a little bit overproduced. There's something really authentic about you just talking directly to your customer, right? It feels very real. It feels very authentic.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I think for the Q&A, that's going to wrap that up.
Cool.
Okay. Now, is there something else that you wanted the audience to know, Kaegan?
Oh gosh, what do I want?
Like what questions has the audience not asked you and we have not asked you that we really should have?
Well,
that we didn't even know to ask because you're the expert.
I love working from questions. I would say if anything, we can sort of close with a bit of advice, which is if you're not doing video marketing, pick one of these things that I've mentioned, whether it be selfie videos, it be live videos, it be something. Pick one of those things and just start there. Don't let the enormous size of the video marketing landscape scare you. Just jump in on one of the things that feels most comfortable to you and see how it goes and build from there.
Yeah, like personally, I really like the Lumen 5 style of video because I don't necessarily want to be on camera because you need all the lighting and you need all the, you have to be articulate and all these things. I like editing. And so I like doing PowerPoints or Google Slides, that sort of thing. And what I found really amazing is in Lumen 5, essentially you can do that. So you start off with a script or have the machine learning AI create that for you. And then you just edit what's there. You can change the images and you can change it until it looks just right. So I personally find that style suits me because that's what I like doing.
I don't think you're
just fine-tuning.
credit. I think you handle the selfie video really well. I'm looking at basically a selfie video of you currently, and you're doing a great job. So, but that is such a fantastic point. Like when I talk to people who use Lumen 5, one of the big reasons is that they know video's taking off. They know they probably should put themselves in front of the camera, but they either don't have the equipment or the time or the guts to do it just yet. So Lumen 5 is a good fit for them.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that was, I don't want to use the word breakthrough lightly, but something that was really amazing, because I could see how the product was improving with time, and also you get more experience. But one of the limitations was the number of video assets you could use. And then you'd see videos and you'd see the same things being used in different clips. And then you added the Getty library. It's like 100 million images or something, or videos. Like, it's just crazy. And you can find such timely things. That made it a lot more exciting from my perspective. Have you had similar feedback from other people?
Yeah, I think that's been really exciting for people, and it sort of steered us into the direction of thinking of other inputs that we can put into Lumen 5. So maybe we have a feature where you could record yourself and make that part of your video, right? Or
yeah, that would be great.
yeah, so we are thinking of more ways to add a little spice to the video and more sources of media to bring in to the editing process.
Okay, now what's the best way for people to reach you?
Oh, good question. You can email me. So my name is Kaegan, as I mentioned before, Kaegan @lumen5.com. If you're a user of Lumen 5 or you'd like to use Lumen 5, you can join our Facebook group. So that's just, if you search Lumen 5 on Facebook, you'll find our Facebook community. Lots of really knowledgeable people there, including yourself, who are very helpful. And you can get inspired by seeing what other people are doing and how they're telling their brand story.
Yes, and since this video is on YouTube, there are show notes below the video, and there are links to these things for your convenience. Don't have the Facebook one there yet, but that'll be added just as we finish recording.
That's my favorite resource because it's so much.
Okay.
Like I can create learning stuff for people, but it's so much better to learn from what others are doing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do enjoy that group more than many of the other groups that I belong to. It's just lively and it's interesting, and I guess I like the video creation process with Lumen 5. Cool. Now, okay, so thank you so much for being a guest, and that's the end of our episode. So thanks to everyone for watching.
Thanks for having me. It's been a ton of fun. Hopefully everybody out there learned at least one little thing. That's my goal.
Thanks. That's
Thank
the
you
end of
for
our
coming by. Yeah.
Cheers.
And cut.
I still see live at the top.